This is a follow-up review on the original review I did on my Laguna 1412 bandsaw. First off, I just want to say that the more I use the saw, the more I like it. I was pretty thrilled with it when I did the initial review, but I got to say that I haven't put it through its paces on some actual woodworking tasks here. It's a great saw. Now, one of the things that I talked about in the initial review was that I didn't like the tires. They were uneven, they seemed to not stretch evenly. So I did spend $50 on two of the Carter blue tires, which are exactly 7/8 wide, that fit in that wheel perfectly. And the saw runs a lot smoother. It really took a lot of that sort of low frequency vibration that I was sensing away, and the saw, even running this big 3/4 inch blade now, just runs really nice. I'll start it up. So, you could balance a nickel on there if you want to. Not that I have, but certainly whatever you lay on the table is not going to be bouncing around. That thing runs smooth as glass. I did make a few other modifications as well. Like, if you recall from the initial review, I had the uneven table where I had a lip here and a wood would catch. And I came up with kind of a weird fix for this. What I did was I filed down one side of the nut so that when this was inserted for leveling the table, one side is got clearance as opposed to the other. So that means that when you tighten it, it tends to pull the other side up, and that essentially eliminated any unevenness that I had in the table. I mean, I wish I'd figured that out before Laguna sent me the second table, and saved them the trouble. But anyway, I passed this little fix on to Laguna, which they seemed to think was something they might pass on to some other customers that they have that problem. So that's fixed. Another thing, I didn't really trust just having knobs holding these guides, because if you're pushing hard with a big blade, and if that thing slips back and the teeth contact the ceramic guides, you're going to break the guides or ruin the teeth. And I did notice that I'm not sure, but I think that the thrust bearing, ceramic thrust face did move on the lower guides on me one time, a little bit. So a little paranoid about that. So what I've done is, I put the guides in place with the existing knobs, but then I cinch it down because they were tapped on both sides, which was handy. I cinch them down with an Allen head cap screw. And I did the same thing underneath here. There's the back knob back there that positions this whole thing initially, and then I cinch it down again with another Allen head cap screw. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but I put another one right there. I adjust the guides in place, tighten the little knob to snug, and then cinch it down with an Allen key. I don't mind using an Allen key. I used to do that on other bandsaws I had. I mounted here on the side on a magnet, and it's handy, and I don't change blades that often, so it's not a big deal. Another annoyance that I pointed out in the first review was the fact that the door used to catch on this nut, and it actually wasn't the nut, it was just a washer. So easy enough fix. I just took it off. Sorry, let's drop this shroud. We'll get to that shroud in a minute. Another thing I got rid of. I haven't got it on here for illustration purposes at the moment. So anyway, I just took a hacksaw to the washer, and way to go. Now this dust shroud's another thing I didn't like. It's two knobs to hold it there, and it's only there to shroud the guides and everything, catch the dust, and it does its job admirably. But every time you change blades, you don't loosen the thing, bang, it falls down on top of the knob, and that stuff's not a big deal. But I got such a tight space that I'm putting it in here that it wouldn't allow me to fully open the door. Now I know it only looks like a ½ inch or so. I got to move it the other side, but I figured, given how tight my shop is, that this ½ inch here would cascade into me buying a larger property. So I didn't want to move the saw an inch from where it was. Plus, I didn't like this sliding business. So I came up with a fix. So what I do now when I change blades is I don't have that sliding shroud thing on there at all. And I'll show you what I did to replace it. And now this door will clear my cabinets. Well, it won't clear this fence. We'll get to that in a minute too. Now this door will swing fully open, and it makes it a lot easier for me to change the blades. Now, the fringe benefit here, okay, I can get the door open now. That's a good deal. But I still need a dust shroud. So I just took some hardboard and put a rare earth magnet in the back of it there. And now all I do is I just get it in the right orientation. And I just put that there like that, and that just, it won't move. And it serves the same purpose. I can paint it gray, sort of blend in a little bit. When I change blades, I just take it off. When I'm done, I put it back. So a lot better than messing around with all these knobs. So take it off, and now let's try to open the door the whole way. Now, the guys who designed these bandsaws, I mean, they did a nice job on the design of this bandsaw, but the fact that if the fence is over here, that this bangs into it, don't like that. You're always having to, move the fence to get the door open. And this knob sticks down the blade. When you're taking the blade off, it catches on there. It's just too long. And if you remember from my first review, this knob has a brass tip. And so it doesn't mar the rail. And so what I did was I came up with another knob that's shorter, it's good diameter. I drilled out the center of it and put a little brass screw in there, epoxied it in, and did some filing and so on to, approximate the brass tip that's on the original knob. And now I don't have this thing, sticking out there a million miles. I just screw it in. So that's sort of tight right there. So no matter where the fence is, ta-da, the door opens. So no messing around, making sure things are out of the way and in the right spot and all that. You just go about your business and change your blade, which is where you want to be. So, I finally got a couple of resaw blades on this thing. I have a 5/8 wood slicer. The first one I got from R&D at a bad weld. Used to pulse back and forth. I sent it back. Sent me another one, pulses back and forth. I've had spotty luck with R&D on bandsaw blades. They just don't seem to have their act together on the welding. Now, this blade here is a 3/4 inch 3 TPI I got from All Blades Canada. I got several blades from All Blades Canada. Every one I buy is bang on. I mean, anyway, I'll show you a resaw with this 3/4 inch one. I will say the wood slicer 5/8 one with the 4 or 5 tooth pattern resaws really smoothly. It's a nice blade performance wise, and pulses a little bit. I decided to keep it. It's a good resaw blade. This blade here was $17, which is pretty cheap, and it cuts like a champ. That was resawing a piece of a little over 8-inch wide quarter sawn white oak. It's not, you can see the tooth marks, but you could easily clean it up. It's not super duper cut quality, but certainly no lack of ability to get through the wood. I had considered rewiring the saw for 220 or 240, I should say. But my 120 volt wiring is pretty short. I mean, the panel box is just over there on the wall, and it's about maybe 20 feet of wiring to get to the saw. And I did a calculation on a little voltage drop calculation tool I found on the internet, and I took into account every piece of wiring leading up to the motor. And even at full load, 14 amps, which I doubt this motor will draw very often, I was only going to lose something like 2 volts or something. And from a torque perspective, square law over voltage and blah, 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 you know, I get 96% of the torque that I'd expect to have if I maintain 100% rated voltage at the motor. If I wired it for 240, instead of getting 96%, I'd have 99%. Now, I don't think I'm going to notice a 3% variation in maximum torque that this motor can put out. Given how short this wiring is, it would just be silliness to wire this thing for 240. The motor doesn't know any different. I mean, at 240, the windings are in series, so you get 120 volts on each winding. At 120 volts, the windings are connected in parallel. You still get 120 volts on each winding. You know, the only reason you would rewire a saw like this to 240 from 120 is if, you know, you're on the end of a long, weak circuit. Maybe is a 120 volt circuit that's 50 feet long, fed from a panel deeper in your house or something like that, right? And then if you go to 240, that cuts down on the line loss leading to your saw, so the motor is happier, it gets more voltage at its terminals. But I'm pretty happy with the way this thing runs on 120, and that's the way I'm going to keep it. So that's it. I promise I won't do another one of these. I think 2 videos on one saw is enough. Just want to say that, I can't say enough about this bandsaw. I've looked at some other ones in the stores since I bought this. I looked at General International and Raycon, and no comparison. The smoothness and precision of this rack and pinion system, the guide system, the dust collection, all of it is just a step above all the competition as far as I'm concerned. So more than happy, and hope somebody finds this useful.